Welcome back, and in this video we're going to discuss the calculations in the data itself. So the Civpay tool has many calculations that are kind of standard Excel calculations. So for example, this type of calculation where it's just doing one number plus one number to get another number, you're probably very familiar with that. We're going to be going over the ones in the data itself, and I'll show you a few ways to do that. This may be one video or two, but we'll take the time to go over where all these numbers come from so that you can understand it. So hours worked, the first thing we want to do, so the way we go about this is to do a VLOOKUP. If we go to our pay hour codes, this table on the left here has all the pay hour codes. I just split out the awards to the side so that I could see them separately. But these awards are still in this table. They're just not marked with a yes in terms of awards because I don't want to see them lumped in with the lump sum leave. But these pay hour codes are going to be, some are going to be included in the actual hours with respect to executing work years, and some are not. And so what this formula does is says if we look up that particular pay code in this pay hour table, and the pay code says Y or yes, this is to be counted in the hours in that third column, column 1, 2, 3. If that's a Y, then we want to look at it. We do want to include those hours. If it doesn't, then we want to say 0. So in fact what it's doing for all these columns is just saying we're just making sure that these hours should be included. And for example, if you were to change these from Y's to blanks or something like that, that's going to affect how they're calculated. So simple VLOOKUP there with an if. So hey, does it have a yes, it should be counted, and if so, show me it. If not, don't show me it. The next column, work years executed. So these are very small numbers. So 17, and how many work years is that if we're going to include it? So the formula is work hours, which is in this table, divided by work years executed. You see how it has a mark here with an exclamation point? That's a sheet reference, so it's referencing another sheet, cell C13. So let's look at that in work year executed, cell C13. I'm going to include my headings, so that's how you do that. But let me go to C13. There it is. That's that manual amount I'm going to enter for this fiscal year. As a leap year, it's 2096. Again, you can see an OMB circular A11 or from the ANG guidance. So what we're actually doing here is saying what fraction of a total work year is 17 hours. And I'll show you kind of a neat way to do this. If you go to formulas, there's this little place over here you may not have ever done anything with. You can trace dependence, precedence. So let me show you that. Let me trace the precedent. Alright, it says in this formula, hey, one of my precedents is hours worked, and another one lies on another sheet. Okay, and then let's go ahead and remove arrows and chase dependents. It says there are no dependents, so this column is only used after we calculate for a pivot. The other thing I'm going to show you is the evaluate formula. So check this out, it's kind of neat. It's showing me my formula, it's going to step me through it. So I'm going to say evaluate, and it's going to say, okay, 17 is the first part. Let's go ahead into the next one. Work years executed is 2096. So it's going to perform that calculation, and that was my formula evaluated. So that's kind of a handy thing to do if you're not quite understanding maybe a more complex formula is working, why it's working in that way, you can use that. So the next column is lump sum leave. So VLOOKUP to lump sum leave, very similar to hours worked. What we're doing is coming to this pay hour code and going, is there a Y in this column, the fourth column? So if we scroll down and look for this, lump sum annual, advanced annual, restored, so on and so forth. These are all those categories for these pay codes. So again, we're coming into that VLOOKUP saying if it has a Y, I want you to count it. If it doesn't, I do not want you to count it, so that we have a column for our specific lump sum leave. Same with awards, and this one I split out. That's pretty difficult, and you might have to do some complicated things if you didn't split it out. So I just have my separate table, my awards table, where I pulled out what are considered awards, and it will look at this and say if that's a yes, then go ahead and put that dollar amount in there. And I did have to add an if error on there because this table is not comprehensive. This is not a comprehensive list of all of the pay codes that are in this data. So if it were to go find a pay code that's not an award pay code, it's going to error out on me. So this formula doesn't have that if error. This formula does have the if error. Let me show you real quick what would happen if I took that out. Let me delete that and delete here. So same formula as this, except it's not a comprehensive list in my VLOOKUP. I hit enter. All these NAs, everything, all these blanked out because all of a sudden all these things that are dependent on this formula in some fashion are trying to do a calculation based on an error, and it's just not going to work. So I'm going to hit Control Z, that's to undo and reset all of this. So that's how that column works. Adjusted pay. So what we really want to do, Control Z again. Adjusted pay is pay amount minus LSL minus awards. So we're doing a quick calculation on our actual pay amounts with respect to hours worked, as opposed to lump sum leave, which is an amount that is NGB funded, and awards, which is an amount funded out of your lapse rate. So that's the adjusted pay column. Let's see the time on this video. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video and continue with the rest of the next. See you then.